Hey, this is Cool Trains in Montreal, and I'm showing off some new locomotives and some new freight cars today. These are my Central Vermont RS11s. These are Atlas locomotives. They represent ALCO RS11s built in the late 50s, 1958 or 1959. And these locomotives were built originally for the Duluth, Winnipeg, and Pacific, DWP, and then were traded to the Central Vermont sometime in the mid 70s, I would suspect. And at the time, Central Vermont was following probably the CN paint scheme, which would be the black and red. As you notice here, a lot of the CV cars here have that CV noodle, the Central Vermont, adapted from the Canadian National, which I really find cool. It's interesting the way they did that. A lot of the CN controlled railroads tried to do this wet noodle type of thing. CV here, which was experimenting with a lot of different things. It was in between the Grand Trunk Blue, as you see that CV boxcar there, and their own kind of little thing, which was the green to represent the Green Mountains of Vermont. What they settled upon here was the green, and I really like the green. It sets them apart from the other railroads, the other Grand Trunk or Canadian National represented railroads. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start running these. They have some pretty good slow speed here. And yeah, as I mentioned in another video, they are running long hood forward for a reason. Those are the front of the locomotive, is the long hood forward, because that's how the control stand was set up. Very much in the tradition of maybe a steam locomotive where you would have the long boiler and then the cab. And people thought at the time that that was necessary for protection in a crash, I suppose. Anyways, I'll have my locomotives come back here along the little short track. And you can see the separate background buildings there. I like to change them up every now and then. And I think this is a very good combination of buildings. Very indicative of a railroad kind of place where you would have the backs of buildings mostly. And on my road here, you can see some interesting stuff. Here an International Harvester small delivery truck in the seal test paint scheme. And another International Harvester truck. This one doesn't really seem to have any decoration to it, but it's got the yellow cab. And it just seems like it would be a regular delivery truck for a small firm that maybe would not have the money to paint it or something. Anyway, and there's also my Beacons truck. This is a C cab. Both of these are C cabs. This one would be, I think this was a moving company in Northeast United States or Boston. But in any case, it's one of the first C cab trucks I bought back in the day when those were brand new from Athearn. And they're pretty cool. I really like them. Yeah, so, and in the back here I have one of those school buses. This is the Newfoundland bus again. Yeah, cool. Okay, and this boxcar here with a posable door, this is a Microtrains line car. A lot of them, well, some of them have posable doors. And I would suggest that if you have a model railroad, get one or two of these just to add a little bit of interest, because most of the cars, most of these newsprint cars or whatever, have the doors already molded on and they're closed. And here we are, DWP. This is the Duluth, Winnipeg, and Pacific. And they had that logo. They also had a more stylized, closer to the CN type logo, with a speed lettering kind of thing. But this was the paint scheme that was actually on the RS11s that came to the Central Vermont. It would have had orange and black and this DWP on it. Yeah. So I will run those trains again just to see what they are like. Yeah, there we go. As you can see, these Atlas locomotives can give you some really good slow speed off of them. The two of them run very well. I'm very happy to report that most Atlas locomotives don't really need much in terms of servicing. And yeah, this looks really great. So I'm very happy with them. And Central Vermont was a railroad that my father used to work for. He worked for CN. And he was sent to St. Albans, I think it was, once a month probably, to do some oversight with the CV. So yeah, a lot of the times he would come back, and at the time I was a child, so he would bring like toys and stuff from the States. So again, Vermont is kind of a special place for me, kind of like a playground kind of thing. So CV kind of reminds me of him, and it reminds me of good times in Vermont. So I like the paint scheme, and it also brings back some kind of good memories for me. And let's bring these locomotives back over. And again, I like to try to buy two, if I can, of the same type of locomotive, if the money situation allows it. At the time, it did. So I have here two different numbers, different road numbers, but same RS11s, and they look really great on this layout, and it'll look really great on my oval layout that I'm also planning to build. So more about that later. So in any case, thank you very much for watching, and if you like what you saw, please subscribe to Cool Trains in Montreal. Have a good day.